In this video, we are going to specifically be talking about the job adjustments from the live letter. The live letter was huge, and so I'm breaking this up into different sections. If you want something like the battle systems, that is going to be on my channel already. So I realized that a lot of people have already reposted the slides verbatim or like screenshotted them, but during the live letter, there were many added extra details added verbally, and I'm going to absolutely make sure that I include them here. I was a very good cat daddy and took notes. So the first thing before any specific job is that there were general philosophies towards job adjustments that they were planning to build upon what we already have right now in Shadowbringers, and that the goal wasn't an extravagant rework to every job, Summoner excluded from that, but rather to better flesh out the current designs that we have now in Shadowbringers. Another guiding principle is that the recast timers of core abilities for jobs are being changed to 60 or 120 second timers, because I know that we have a lot of new players to this channel, or maybe returning veterans. I'm just gonna do a little breakdown here. So basically, raid buffs, you try and stack them all multiplicatively on top of each other in what we call a raid burst window or a raid buff window. There's a few different terms running around. This fundamentally follows Ninja's trick attack that is on like a 60-second cooldown, and then every 60 seconds they have that buff up for roughly 15 seconds now. And then the entire raid group tries to fit that in. And so the developers have now tried to change abilities around 60 to 120 second timers to line up with that. Not all abilities are going to be impacted though, such as Black Mage's ley lines is still at 90 seconds, but for the most part they've been changed. Another set of changes that they spent a lot of time trying to flesh out and explain that I'm going to kind of sledgehammer here is that they basically tried to make the difference between magical DPS and physical DPS, or the damage types, to be basically on the same even playing field, and that they're in separate formulas, but they try to really balance them out. This is just going to be a consistent thing throughout the jobs, so I'm not going to like recite even when it's on the slide. It's just going to be a persistent factor, guys. For the tank role, they want to upgrade the defensive abilities that when they are used at optimal times that you're going to gain further benefits from using the ability, to add a tactical aspect to cooldowns, not like a guard or a parry per se, but along the lines of a short enhanced benefit immediately after using an ability, like a defensive buff for you and a party member, then that's going to be more effective for like the first 3 seconds or something like that. Another benefit for all the tanks is that they are going to make it so that ranged attacks do not break the combo that they are currently in, and I know that I've suffered this personally as a tank when I need to dodge an AoE on Gunbreaker, where I need to either spam the shot ability that would break my combo or just not do anything. For the Paladin, Requiescat will always be useful no matter how much MP you have, which currently you need to have 80% MP for it to trigger its bonus effect, but there will then also be an additional 3 attack combo after Confiteor as seen in the footage. Just really going to be a straight evolution from Shadowbringers building into the kit, not a drastic difference. Warrior's damage and up effects now can be triggered and extended by AoE combos, not gonna lie, but this is going to be a huge change to me. I'm very excited about it. Next up is Onslaught, the Warrior's Gap Closer, and Upheaval, which is a bonus damage burst, is now going to cost no beach gauge. Also, the Gap Closer, which is going to be the Onslaught ability, is getting 3 charges, and so this is going to result in a ton of mobility for the warrior, and honestly was so necessary. This is a huge change to me. They are also getting an additional action that you can use during Inner Release, and Inner Release will be on a 60-second burst window. Thinking about an Ascent Flash with this combo makes me very excited. And I mean it, I'm just trying to say it fast so that I don't like get this video too long, guys. For the Dark Knight, Salted Earth now appears immediately where you stand, which is a nice simplification of that ability that I was already trying to simulate with some macros to place it. Like if you watched my Dark Knight guide, you know I've used macros a lot, and it's just been changed to instacast under you. That's it. And your Living Shadow Frey is also going to learn new actions that you learn in Endwalker. Alongside this, we're going to get 60 and 120 second window cycles. We can see that this is going to be where we're going to see Delirium be pulled into, is in these 60, 120 second cycle windows. Dark Knight is now also getting a single target defense buff. The Gunbreaker will now have its Gnashing Fang combo that was like spanning like 4 different buttons put into a single button that changes when you start it. Actually, it'll be 3 because continuation is still going to be its own thing. Huge quality of life change to say the least. You will also be able to use continuation after Burst Strike, and then your maximum cartridges is up to a maximum of 3. The goal of that is so that you can save them up for a big raid burst window. Melee DPS in general are going to have it that their combos aren't going to be broken by ranged attacks, very much just like the tanks. Huge QL. Another change is that Feint currently does reduce physical damage, but they are adding a much smaller but still significant magic reduction component to it. Dragoon is getting its AoE rotation expanded as well as its single target combo rotation. It's going to be that super flashy skill that you see in the video. Some existing actions are also getting upgraded versions, kind of like Broil to Broil 2 to Broil 3. Blood of the Dragon will now become a trait, and so there's no need to execute or maintain its uptime, and Spine Shatter Dive is now going to be changed to have 2 charges, and this is going to be a metric ton more mobility for the Dragoon. The Monk actually got quite an involved change, and footage is just going to be playing in the background of what they were showing, But essentially, the chakra systems are now going to be available at a lower level. The gameplay element of stacking Lightning is completely gone, and so this new system is being introduced at a lower level to compensate. And this new system is going to be like this masterful blitz that has a bunch of conditions that, when fulfilled, get a balance of 2 different yin-yang chakras that allow different skills to be activated. You activate this system with perfect balance, and perfect balance is going to have 2 charges that come back every 40 seconds, and so it's going to be a very consistent factor in your kit. And then you can see the 3 glowing effects below the chakra gauge, and once used, you have a yin or yang gauge to the sides, and the white one to the right, and then the dark one to the left, and then you can expend all of this on Masterful Blitz. Developers were stating how you go through the skills in the Monk's rotation isn't intended to change, but they did say that Twin Strike and the Snake's ability is going to have the directional components removed in order to compensate with this additional complexity. Shoulder tackle is also being removed, and that there is going to be a replacement like 3 dashes that you can even use to dash to an ally, similar to some like the Black Mage's teleportation kit. Samurai is going to be getting their buffs applied by their AoE combo similar to the Warrior. They are also getting the new Ayajatsu and Tsubame Geishi, and these are stackable up to 2 charges to allow you to have a bigger burst window for adjustments. Or when you're under the effect of Miyakyo Shushi, then you are going to get the 3rd combo, and then you can get that 2nd combo action. For the ninja, there will now be an additional bonus actions added to Raiton, Doton, Huton, and then there will be an additional action to make it easier to keep up Huton. There, however, was a real effort noted by the developers to not make the ninja too overwhelming or cluttered, and they did go away with the Shadow Fang ability, so there will be no damage over time effect in the ninja's kit. And also, when you use the Shadow Clone, there will be a specific action added to use that as well. Reaper is a brand new job, and I do want to cover this in better detail, but just for a summary here is that the Reaper is all about their own scythe and using their avatar to augment their abilities. Gameplay footage of the Reaper is going to be playing in the background currently. As stated by the developers, they can give enhancements to the party where the Reaper can take something out of, say, the bard during the video, but they reiterated that's aimed more to be a pure DPS, not as much as the Samurai, but basically in that same ballpark, where they're not really worrying about giving buffs to others. They said that it's going to be a highly technical tempo-based job where baseline rotation has no positionals, but the avatar form was stated to have some positionals involved. They also stated that there are going to be specialist actions that can help them in specific combat scenarios. Now about the job HUD, there are going to be 2 gauges. The top one is the soul gauge, where you charge up the soul gauge to unleash different attacks, and this applies to attacks that you unleash with the avatar that will deplete charge in the soul gauge. And once you unleash the weapon skills using your own attacks, the avatar, then a 2nd gauge starts to fill up that is called the Shroud gauge that accumulates that will eventually allow you to fuse with the avatar and unleash even stronger special combos. Sorry guys, I know that's a whirlwind. I know that people want this to be super condensed, so I'm sorry. Now we're talking all about the physical range DPS, and just generally speaking, any sorts of buffs that mitigate damage in the recast hammer has been adjusted to 90 seconds for all range DPS. So the bard is having each of the 3 songs that we already have will make a brand new action available that will apply a party-wide buff for more support kit for the bard. And there will also be a new action available after executing Apex Arrow ability. Wanderous Minuet and Battle Voice recast timers have been adjusted to be at 120 seconds. The Machinist is getting a brand new action called Chainsaw, and the Automaton Queen is getting a brand new action. Reassemble is chargeable up to 2 charges. So you mean Machinist style ultimate drill no jutsu can be used more often? Yes please. Although most likely Air Anchor and Drill are going to be the targets for it. Dancer is getting a major overhaul, and the weapon procs are going to be shared among single target and AoE skills, allowing for a smoother flow if the situation is encountered. There will also be new actions when technical finish, improvisation, and devilment are used. The developers have kept the direction of the Dancer really to support the party through a ton of buffs. Another change noted for the Dancer was that Esprit used to be very random, but for the Dancer themselves, Esprit will be guaranteed to build up. For magical range DPS, following the footsteps of melee DPS's Feint, Adel is now going to have an additional smaller physical damage reduction component to it, in addition to its current magical reduction. For the Black Mage, Ichan will now become a trait that is automatically applied during Astrofire or Unburial Ice. I know Black Mages will be screaming with joy at this. Also, swapping between Astrofire and Umbral Ice under some conditions will make a brand new action available, such as fairly cool looking combination of Fire and Ice. The developers really want to evolve it as a pure DPS Black Mage like it's always been, and so the proc for Fire 4 and Thunder has been extended in duration because it helps with the rotation, smoothness, and mobility. Fire 2 and Blizzard 2 is going to also have an additional upgrade so that your AoE rotation will actually change too, and there is going to be an additional charge added to Sharpcast. For the Red Mage, there will be a new action that may be used after you use Scorch. Also, the quality of life change that I know Red Mages wanted was for Ver Flare, Ver Holy, and Scorch to now be changed to AoE so that they can actually be used in AoE rotations. They will also be getting a brand new magic barrier called Magic Barrier to apply to the entire party that will reduce the damage taken. Weapon skills black and white mana cost has been reduced, and with manification, the plan is that you can do one combo with it, so the burst that you can have at the start of the battle is far quicker than what it is currently with how you have to ramp up the white and black mana to build up. Displacement as well as engagement have had their potency become the exact same so that you don't really have to choose between do I want to black flip or not, because that could cause some awkward situations. It's not really worth the potency gain if you're going to flip off. Summoner has had an extensive complete overhaul, and you could essentially consider this a new job at this point with significant changes. I do plan on doing a video purely on this because this is a job that I have a lot of love for. Basically, now you are actually summoning Ifrit, Garuda, Titan, and they want to pull out the feeling of being summoner for Endwalker. And the current rotation, you just go from summoning Demi Bahamut, then you get a charge of Garuda, Ifrit, and Titan. You can use any at any time. When you use them, you're also going to get their special elemental abilities, like Garuda has an AoE puddle that you can form, and then Ifrit is going to be like a dash and then melee attack. Another nice quality of life change is that your hotbars are going to be swapped automatically in your abilities depending on which mode you're in. And for the record, yes, Summoner will keep Resurrection and currently Physic. For healers, they are getting new actions to apply single target buffs. They are also going to be getting reduced cast time for offensive spells at 1.5 second cast time. And so this means basically every healer's cast time, like their broils, their glares, their whatever the sages is called, is going to all be at 1.5 seconds, the same as Ast's Malefic is right now. Also, limit break range for all healers is going to be expanded to 50 meters, and Diamond Weapon. I will never forgive Diamond Weapon. White Mage, they stated, was going to be a very simple update to the White Mage, that now the restorative field action is going to be added and changed, and that there's going to be a higher tier for the holy spell that has been added. Unfortunate news for the White Mage is that Fluid Aura has been removed, and that Divine Benison now is going to become a charge action, but the controls will feel like it was, and it'll be a smooth transition into Endwalker, mostly for the White Mage. Astrologian is getting retooled to not have the diurnal versus nocturnal sex anymore, instead being really tooled to be more of a pure healer. The Astrologian will still have neutral sec to apply some barriers. Again, this is kind of what I thought in my healer meta and Endwalker video that I put out a few months. I'm definitely getting that 100% when I'm reading these changes. Astra's divination effect has been modified now, and you can use it in normal circumstances. Depending on the seals used, it can allow for enhancements to be applied to yourself, not the allies, but yourself. It's more of a yourself system now. Redraw will also no longer be on charge action. It will be changed to an action where every time you draw, you can use it once. Also, minor arcana will also be used too. And there will also be an AoE spell that has a healing capability and an offensive capability to it, and this is based upon some input, like when people go into instance dungeons, that the holy on White Mage was quite strong, and so they wanted to have something kind of in the same ballpark for other healer jobs, and so this is kind of like a unique twist that Ast has. Scholar has had more adjustments to lean it towards more of a barrier type healer, and the Scholar is getting a new job adjustment that can boost the party's movement speed in combat, or can boost the movement speed to run to the Sage NPC. Memes aside, I do think that that will be useful to get to the Sage NPC, and I think that most people that raid that I know that are doing prog could use this in a very fringe scenario. Maybe it would be like a more expanded rescue. I do like the idea of having mobility in a raid, and apparently there's going to be a powerful enhancement that can be targeted towards a single party member. I'm not sure if this is another one unique to the Scholar, but we already saw this for all of the healers, that they have some form of that. And this finally brings us to Sage, that possesses all the actions that are essential for a barrier healer, although that was not really elaborated on what that means. They can use Cardia that can specifically specify a target like a main tank to heal through their damage. Yes, you heard that right. My prediction was right earlier, and I'm so happy. And then you can think about it like a designated partner. They have Icarus, which is a movement gap closer type skill. They have attack that they can modify to be a damage over time effect using augments, and they stated that like the Sage has a lot of buttons, a lot of depth to it, and that it might take a bit of time to master the Sage with all of its intricate commands, and I am living for it.